So who are you and where are you from?
Steve Forrester. I live on Miami Beach, Florida.
All
I'm
right.
originally from San Francisco, but I live here in Miami Beach.
And that's where we are right now.
Yep.
And what do you do or what did you do?
I'm still working. I am a policy advocate for the rights of Haitian immigrants. I work for a nonprofit, retired attorney, used to claim political asylum for Haitian refugees. Now I do policy advocacy to get better rights for Haitians in Haiti and Haitian immigrants primarily.
And has the climate changed much since you were a kid?
You know, I'm 71 and the climate has changed enormously. I follow the news and of course I'm well aware the climate has changed enormously.
I mean, in your life, did you see it change since you were a kid or what?
Well, personally, I think, I live in Miami Beach for the last 29 years, basically, Miami or Miami Beach. Um, have I personally experienced effects? We have some hurricanes that are pretty large here, but I don't know how they would compare with 40 years ago. I mainly know about climate change through being a person who keeps up with the news and stuff like that. It's really hot here, but when I came 29 years ago, no, more, 43 years ago to Miami, it was already hot then in the summers. So I'm sure that it's been changing for the worse.
So on an everyday basis, do you think about it much on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most concerned? How would you depict your thinking on climate change?
I would say it's probably somewhere from in between 4 and 5, maybe. Not that it's consciously on my mind every day or that I consciously worry about it, but I'm aware of it. One has to be aware of it. We live on Miami Beach. And so it's more of a subconscious thing that's sort of always there as opposed to something that worries me at the top of my head. But it's definitely there on a subconscious level. How could it not be for any educated person?
And for the future, are you optimistic or pessimistic? And is there anything we can do about it?
I have to say, I think on the whole, I'm probably a bit pessimistic, but with some tinges of optimism too, and I'll explain that if I may. Pessimism comes from the fact that human nature has not changed since the species has been around. We are who we are, we have an intellect on the one hand, but we're mainly governed by emotions and things like this. And of course, the political atmosphere is very difficult. Truth is no longer valued very highly in our society in terms of politicians. I mean, we have a whole party, the Republicans, with very few exceptions, people like Liz Cheney, have gone on the deep end. And for there to be any leadership by the United States, we have to have a Congress that works and a democracy that works. And that's been increasingly precarious in terms of the state of our democracy, which is going to be crucial for any significant political decisions to address climate change. I mean, it would have been, wonderful had Al Gore, had the Supreme Court not given the election to George Bush in 2000, because Al Gore obviously cared deeply about the environment and the climate. So there have been a series or if the butterfly ballot didn't elect was it George Bush? I forget which election
Here
it
in
was.
Florida.
Here in Florida, the butterfly ballot, which had the result of maybe that was the Bush Gore
2000.
election too.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, things could have been. We've got an electoral college system that says it's not one person, one vote. It gives equal votes to Montana, Montana and California, whatever. Crazy system. We don't have a pure democracy at all. And so it's very difficult to be optimistic given the state of our politics and given the fact that we only have a certain number of years if we're going to prevent irreversible climate effects. So it's a little difficult to be optimistic. On the other hand, I'm not a scientist, and one must marvel at all of the things that scientists are able to come up with. So it's probably likely that within the next few decades, perhaps sooner rather than later, but both, scientists are going to come up with all kinds of practical things to, deal with the emissions of carbon dioxide or whatever it is. I don't know the details of how it works, but I'm sure scientists are coming up with all kinds of stuff, and every once in a while one sees something about it. So I'm not a pessimist by nature. Uh, we have a real challenge in front of us. My concern is that human nature hasn't changed, and the stupidity of politicians and human beings hasn't changed. Um, and now, because of technology, we have the ability to wipe ourselves out. And human nature not having changed, that may happen one day. Somebody sets off a radiation bomb, God forbid, uh, or some terrorist attack with a nuclear thing. So human nature hasn't changed, but our ability to destroy ourselves has exponentially increased in the last many hundreds of years. Um, and so who knows what's going to happen? But in general, the optimistic part would be the ability of scientists to come up with absolutely incredible things that nobody can even perhaps imagine now, may save the day. But we got to continue to fight to preserve our democracy so that the imbeciles in the Republican Party don't kill us all because of their desire to enrich themselves or, get reelected despite what's good for the country.
Very good. Today is the 31st of January here on Miami Beach, Florida. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.